Hello. Good evening, Mr. Bond fans. Hello, can everyone hear me okay? Because I've had trouble with the microphone before. Just want to make sure everyone can hear me okay. Hello. For England, James. Hello, hello. Right, so I'm guessing you can hear me then. Okay. This is good. This is very, very good. Let me just maximize this. Well, hello. Happy Saturday. You can hear me. Excellent. Thank you. Zachary, hello. Son Goku, hello. Other actors have played Indiana Jones before. Yes, because young Indiana Jones. Sorry, if you haven't seen, I just put up a video, which was my review for patrons of Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I'm assuming that comments in relation to that. Hola, Peter. Hello. Everything loud and clear. Excellent, excellent. Nobody is watching football. I don't watch football, so I don't know. Is it a big one? Ben Cole, happy you could join. No more idea of traffic control than a Goonie bird. Brilliant. Right, okay. Well, Futurist, hello. Night and Live and Let Die. Well, this is actually a Spectre turtleneck. Though based on the one from Live and Let Die, I would assume. Calvin's ready to swim in Graves' fake mine. I don't have the Dine of the Day turtleneck, though I would quite like it. Right, well, first of all, thanks everyone for joining, and I have my Mojito, as Mr. Brosnan would pronounce it, here with me, so let's, cheers. This is just going to be a live stream of me, like, picking out bits of mint from my teeth. That's just how this is going to go, but cheers, everyone. Happy Saturday. It's not bad. I thought I put more rum in it than what it tastes like, so I'm a little bit concerned that I can't taste the rum. And I also have, because I thought ahead this time, so I don't have to like run off to the kitchen and leave this blank, I have a whole jug of Mojito with me for when I run out of this one. So, yeah, bottoms up, indeed. Callum Crayston, I am very well, thank you. A little bit cold, and my the temperatures are changing now, obviously, so it's just a little bit cold. And it was because I'm a big Pokemon Go player, and today was a community day, so I was like out in the cold earlier, chasing around shiny Chimchar that I did. Lloyd Nance, very glad you could join. Cheers from Wimbledon to Seattle. Mint julep time. No, actually, Sam, this is a mojito. As that's every time I think of mojito, I just think of Brosnan's over pronunciation of it in Dine of the Day. You just know he's the kind of guy who goes to a restaurant and like orders like, you know, the most you know, the thing on the menu that allows him to show off his pronunciation of foreign words. Right. So your new review, loved it, and want to watch the movies now. The Indiana Jones films, yeah. No, it's been a while since I'd seen them, so I was yeah, quite pleased really when that one won the patron vote. I think I'm going to be doing gold member for next month, so I'm slightly less thrilled about that, but never mind. Hello from a rubbish area not too far from Wimbledon. Not bad at all. Hello from Brighton. Hello, Simon. Glad you could join. Daniel Roberts lives near Rio. Very interesting. That's cool. I've never been to Rio. Would quite like to, though. Right. So this is like, if you've tuned into any of my other live streams, you'll know that these things are very unstructured and very just kind of like, you know, whatever comes up, we'll talk about. But it is just sort of like a Q&A sort of thing, really. Whilst I slowly got a little bit tipsy on this. So, but it is, you know, it's fun for me. I hope it's fun for you. I quite like it. So, and normally I go to bed and just fall straight to sleep. So it's, yeah, I often do these when I'm home alone. So, I'm not like, I'm, you know, talking to actual people rather than just talking to myself. So, yeah, cheers from New York. Thank you. Lucas, what gadget would you like to see for a Bond car that he's not yet had? That's an interesting one. It's tough to come up with gadgets because it's like what they always say. It's like, how do you give Bond any kind of meaningful gadget when we all have these amazing devices in our, pockets that can do everything? So what do you give a secret agent? For a Bond car, I suppose we've never had Bond in a car that could actually fly. And that would be, I might be in a bit of a minority in that because I don't even like, I don't mind the invisible car from Die Another Day. I think that's all fair games. So the more outlandish, I'm totally fine with that. Is there alcohol in a mojito? There is white rum in this. And like I say, I thought I put in this, what is there? There's white rum, soda water, mint, lime juice, and a bit of lime as well, and some sugar. Maybe the sugar's the thing that's taking the edge off. I don't know. Right, John Zenbeats, what do you think of the Hitman series? I have not seen actually, I tell a lie. I've played a bit of, I think, Hitman 2 for the PlayStation 4. I still need to get into it properly. But really enjoyable. So I'm a little bit into Pokemon right now. No new Pokemon games came out just yesterday. So yeah. Right, I was down in London between the 27th of October and 2nd. I went to MI6 building in Vauxhall. I loved it. Yeah, no, it's seeing the MI6 building in Vauxhall is a really cool sort of because obviously it's a working a working building. People actually go to work there. And then you just see it, and when you know it so well from the films, it's kind of a weird sight, I think. Are you a fan of any comedies like Dad's Army or Fawlty Towers? I love Fawlty Towers. I love that kind of era of British sitcom. I think I'm much more aligned to sort of like British sort of sense of humor in British sitcoms than American ones. Though I do like Frasier. And Friends is all good. Right, 007 Hub, opinions on favorite movie for your eyes only. Right, I haven't watched that one in some time. It's never been one that I've really connected with. Quite honestly, I think it's always been my least favorite Roger Moore Bond film. But I think it helps to watch, for me anyway, like same thing with License to Kill. It was like I always used to watch it in sequence with the rest of the series, and License to Kill actually played so much better for me when I just watched it in isolation. And I think I probably need to do that more with For Your Eyes Only. Yeah. Right. Right. Kiefer Sutherland is a Bond villain, James. I wouldn't mind that at all. I love Kiefer Sutherland. I was a big fan of 24. And he's just got that great voice. He can do villains so well. Like in, what's that Colin Farrell film, Phone Booth. Really good in that. Kobe Tong, hello. I hope I pronounced that right. Like, I always do this on these live streams. I'm always just terrified I'm mispronouncing everybody's names. Will you ever do a small review of the potential third Dalton film? Actually, yes. That is something that I need to do a lot more research into. Just because there's so much out there, and I think a lot of it is probably not true or is exaggerated. So, yeah, I need to do some proper research on that and, sort of compile everything. And then a video about like what the film could have been would be quite interesting, I think. Have you seen Glee? I have. I watched Glee for several seasons until the main cast left. And then I kind of lost interest a bit once they brought in a bunch of the new people. Are you a fan of Mr. Plinkett? I don't actually know what Mr. Plinkett is. Oh, Kobe, I'm happy I pronounced it perfectly. Thank you. Marmite, love it or hate it? Hate it. Not a fan. Hey, this is my first live stream I've got involved with. Oh, well, welcome, Jamie. I feel honored that this would be the first one. Like I've said before, like this is going to be a very unstructured, just sort of like answering some questions as they come. Yeah, so hope you enjoy. Like I say, it's fun for me anyway. I just sit here and drink. Should we have another female Bond villain? Yes, we definitely should. I think the problem with the Bond series is that they always kind of shy away from that because James Bond is a sexist and he may not necessarily treat women that good anyway. He always has to kill the villain, or the villain has to die. So I think they pull their punches a bit with that. And I thought it was quite brave, actually, for what they did with The World Is Not Enough. And I actually love that scene where Brosnan shoots Elektra. I think it's really well done, really well handled. Yeah, so more female villains for sure. Like proper, like the big bad as well. Because when you think of like how many Bond films we've had, and there's only ever been one main female bad. Rosa Klebb comes sort of close. I mean, obviously Blofeld is the big bad for that film, but she is, you know, she's the one that Bond goes up against at the end. So, and even then he doesn't kill her. Pee in the water. I don't know what that means. This is a fine mojito, I'll have you know. Matthew Harkin, hello. Any particular Bond you're picturing reading through the continuation novels? That is really interesting, actually, because... Oh, sorry, I'm just looking over at my collection, because I recently finished... I haven't put reviews up about them yet, but the Christopher Wood novelizations I read recently, and it was really funny. Like, The Spy Who Loved Me, obviously, the first one that he did, I think... when I was reading that, I just kind of pictured Fleming's Bond. Like, it read to me like a Fleming Bond adventure. Moonraker felt like he'd seen The Spy Who Loved Me and was like, oh, okay, I guess Roger Moore does that, and I'll write him like that. So with this, I kept half imagining Fleming's Bond, and then it'd say something, and it'd be like, well, Fleming's Bond would never say that, so that I just end up imagining Roger Moore. Colonel Sun, Fleming's Bond, and when I say Fleming's Bond, I mean that, you know, that illustration that you can find online that I think it was published in the Sunday Times or something. I just imagine like that, not really one of the film actors. Did you make the huge beaker of mojitos from scratch or use mixer? I made these from scratch. I muddled the mint myself. What's the funniest spy movie to date? Die Another Day. Callum, I was hoping to bump into you down there. What do you think of Toby Stevens? And could you do a top 10 Bond video games, please? Yes, I will do, definitely. Once I have reviewed the PlayStation 1 and N64 video games, for sure I will be doing a ranking. What do I think of Toby Stevens? I think perhaps he was directed to be hammier than what he should have been. I think he actually did a better job of playing Gustav Graves in the 007 Legends video game than he did in the actual film. Have you got a good feeling for No Time to Die? Jason Carr, hello! Happy you could join. I do actually have very good feelings about that, and I know that it's difficult to have that when we've had like hardly anything about the film. Like we still know hardly anything about it, and to say it's going to be coming out in like 5 months, it's ridiculous. But just based on the pedigree of the people involved creatively, Cary Fukunaga, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Scott Z. Burns, I've got quite high expectations for it. Have you watched BBC Sherlock? I watched series 1 and really liked it, but obviously I didn't like it enough to seek out the other seasons, but it has been on my to-watch list for a while. The Pee in the Water was about Donkvile's ghost comment. Would you like to see the invisible car done more realistically? Are you implying it could be done more realistically than what we see in Die Another Day? Because I thought that was pretty damn realistic. You know, yeah, because I saw that Top Gear did an episode, didn't they, where they like had that, they like put a screen in front of like a 4x4 or something and tried to do it, and it didn't quite work that well, I don't think so. I think they'll probably leave the invisible car thing for Die Another Day. I can't imagine we'll ever get anything on that level of insanity again, but saying that, it depends where they go with Craig. Luke Evans is James Bond. Yes, actually, I would be quite up for that. I really like Luke Evans. Do you watch The Crown, Hunter? No, I have not yet watched The Crown. I do this terrible thing whenever there's like a series on Netflix or Amazon or something, and if the whole thing is there, like the series is finished and it's all there, I will just like plow through it. Like I did that with The Office recently. But then if I'm watching like, let's say 4 seasons and then there's another one coming, I just end up kind of falling out of it. I did that with BoJack Horseman, but maybe that's just because BoJack Horseman was, I don't know, maybe it had run its course. Calvin, I am currently in love with Diamonds Are Forever. I think it's a brilliant film. Well, Son Goku, again, if I'm pronouncing that right, if I'm not, forgive me. But yeah, no, more power to you. If you like Diamonds Are Forever, you go for it. I'm not one of those people who shames other people for liking certain Bond films, because I think that can be quite... I see it a lot in comments usually on my ranking video, and they're never from like subscribers. Like, it's always just from like, some person who must have just stumbled across it, and then they're like, oh, how dare you, put The World Is Not Enough So High and GoldenEye and Skyfall and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, it's just my opinion. It's what I like. Like, I don't think you should shame, people for just liking things. Like, Calvin, who is, according to you, the most underrated and overrated Bond villain? Interesting question. Are we talking main villains or henchmen included as well? Because I think that Orumov is really underrated. I think he's a fantastic character and a really good actor as well. Most overrated? Just looking over at my wall where I've got the posters of the films. Overrated. I don't know if I think there is a most overrated. Maybe Christoph Waltz's Blofeld, but then I don't even know if people rate him necessarily. Matt, hi, Calvin. How is the John Gardner experience going? I've always been a fan, but I get that his novels don't work for everyone. I'm not actually that far into. I think I'm like 6-7 chapters into his first one, License Renewed, and in chapter 2, Bond has a cottage and drives a Saab. So that raised some eyebrows whilst I was reading that book on my commute, I'll tell you that. But I'm kind of into it, I think. Like, Bond's just got his mission and he's kind of going out. So, yeah. It'll be an interesting one, I think. Sorry, I haven't got any mint caught in my teeth yet, so I think we should be... Or at least I don't think I have. So I think we can be thankful for that. Calvin, thoughts on Richard Madden as Bond? I would love Richard Madden to play Bond. Richard Madden and the guy's name has slipped me by. He was in James Norton. Is it James Norton who was in Happy Valley? Yeah, I either of those two as Bond, I would be very, very pleased with. But yeah, I really, really like Richard Madden. Big Game of Thrones fan, loved him in that. Yeah, they're all hit and miss though. Oh, the Gardner ones. Those books are reboots. The Gardner ones, yeah. Well, it's weird because he's described like physically. He's described like Fleming's Bond. But then, yeah, he's obviously a different character. He has some of that like know-it-all, like the tropes that came in when Roger Moore was playing Bond. Like, anyone would ask him a question and he'd be like, "Oh, what do you know about Scaramanga?" Scaramanga? Oh, yes, son of a ringmaster, and blah, 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 blah. And he would just like reel off. So I've already had a bit of that in the Gardner book that I'm reading. Aidan Turner is my top pick to succeed Craig. Very good. I haven't seen... Oh, what was he in? That thing where he had his shirt off and he was in the maize fields all the time. Poldark. Was it Poldark? I haven't seen that, but I've heard good things about that actor. Matthew Harkin, watched The Man Who Haunted Himself again a few nights ago, and it's so good. One of Roger Moore's best ever performances. I completely agree. Really, really like that film. If people haven't seen it, I think you kind of... If you rate Roger Moore as Bond at all, I think you kind of need to see that film just to sort of pay tribute to him, because he was like, he loved that performance that he gave, and the film's really interesting as well. So yeah. Have you ever watched Death in Paradise? No, I haven't. Is it good? Did you like the Man from U.N.C.L.E. movie? Yeah, I did. I only saw it the once at the cinema. But I did, I quite liked it. I've never seen any of the original Man from U.N.C.L.E. I should probably check it out at some point. Has your ranking of Bond songs changed since your video? Yes. Oh my god, like, I do this every now and then with like the rankings when I'm like, after a few years have gone past, I'm like, what was that exactly? And now I look at the song one, I think I'm like, what was I thinking? I don't know. I think, Spooky Lemon, first live stream for me. Non-Bond questions are completely okay. And this is like I've said already, this is going to be a very unstructured kind of thing. It's just questions, and and I drink, so I hope you drink as well, assuming you're of age. Hi from a cold and wet Sheffield. I'm sorry to hear that, Drew. I know that Sheffield up in the north of England has had a lot of floods lately. Yeah. So what do you think of the upcoming Sonic movie? Actually really liked that new trailer where they redesigned Sonic. I thought he was looking so much better, and it's insane like how they can take the feedback that they got from, the terrible feedback that they got when they released that first trailer, and they've like completely done it right this time, which is interesting. What's been the best viewing experience of a Bond film for you? That's a good question. It would probably be one of the cinema experiences. I really enjoyed the BFI day that was last month. That was really cool, and like just being able to watch something like Majesty's Secret Service, World Is Not Enough, Moonraker, with that, people who were all like, really big fans, really into it, hearing people laugh and like react to the stuff on screen, even the stuff that like, double taking pigeon and, drunk man, looking at his glass and all that kind of stuff. The stuff that we know is kind of corny and cheesy, but we all get it. It was just really nice having that kind of experience. Oh, Futurist is also drinking a Mojito. Lloyd is drinking Merlot. Very fancy, sir. Have you seen Roger Moore in The Wild Geese? I did watch The Wild Geese a while ago. I'd actually like to revisit it. Is that the one where he makes someone eat cocaine? Is that the one? Zach. Oh, thank you. Most underrated YouTube out there. I will take that and I will slap that on a trophy somewhere. Zach, that's a really lovely thing to say. Thank you. Cheers. Cheers. Hope you're having a good evening or morning, depending on where in the world you are. Have you ever been to the Prince Charles Cinema in London? Great cinema. Saw Psycho there a few weeks ago. Oh, damn it. They were showing Psycho. I would have loved to have gone to that. I need to check their website more. I am a member. I've got my membership card in my wallet somewhere. But yeah, the Prince Charles Cinema is really cool. They show a lot of very like they'll show things if it's an anniversary or for a particular theme, and a lot of like older stuff, and it's all really good. It's great to have like an opportunity to see some classic movies on the big screen. Sits awkwardly with Aldi Lager. Well, this is Tesco soda water. Thoughts on Necros? Great in them skimpy swim shorts. Fault his physique at all. He's good. He's one of the better, probably, blonde, muscly henchmen that Bond has gone up against. Who is the meanest Bond actor? Ooh, out of the main six? I don't really know how to answer that. Connery seems a bit grumpy. I don't know. Calvin, you made my deployments more pleasant. Bond in Iraq for the win. Sam, oh wow, that's you were deployed to Iraq? That's wow. I mean, cheers to that. I mean, that's really quite something. Wow. Thanks for tuning in. The Wild Geese is great fun, shot in my home country, South Africa, and stars one of the great South African actors, John Carney. Oh, interesting. Have you seen Misery? Yes, I love Misery. That is one of my favorite films. Kathy Bates, James Caan. It's fantastic. What is your favorite books? It's kind of hard for me to say because for the past, since last July or June or something, I've just only been exclusively reading Bond. So, now if I were to pick up a book that wasn't Bond, I'd probably be like, oh god, wow, this is a bit of a different experience. I really like The Stepford Wives. I read that quite a while ago and really liked that. 1984 I read not too long ago either, and I thought that was fantastic. And I know that's one that, everyone is supposed to read and do school reports on and everything, but I actually really, really got something out of it. Sam H, new fan from Prague. Hello. Thank you for tuning in. What would you say is the biggest flaw of each actor in their role of Bond? Oh, that is a very good question. It's difficult to answer because it changes depending on the film, I think. Because I watched Live and Let Die, obviously I put a review up of recently, and I wrote my review of The Man with the Golden Gun last weekend. So watching those two Roger Moore films in such detail, his performance is very all over the place. And he doesn't feel confident, I don't think, particularly in The Man with the Golden Gun. They make him do some really awkward things that you just get the sense that even he didn't really like to do. But then by The Spy Who Loved Me, he just perfects it, and then for the next 5 films, he's fantastic. But then I guess they're all slightly awkward in their first one, apart from Craig, actually. In terms of like hitting the ground running in Casino Royale, he pretty much does that. Calvin, the No Time to Die trailer will drop sometime in December. I certainly hope so. Calvin, read The Most Famous Car in the World book. Oh, yes, no, I do need to read that, actually. Yeah, no, I've heard very good things. Have you ever just had a dream where you literally ended up in events of a random movie you have seen that night? I have. I was literally chased by the Twine chainsaw copters. That's amazing, Martin. I often have that with zombie films, which is odd because zombie films don't frighten me at all. Like, I'm very like, I can watch them and, whatever. But then they haunt my dreams for some reason, and I'm not quite sure. Tom S., since you don't answer my questions about Bond, I'm sorry, Tom. If you've been posting them, I just kind of like lock eyes on a comment and then sort of like look away to sort of to chat. Sorry, what was the question? How do you like Castle Rock Season 2 by Stephen King? Much About Misery. I haven't actually seen it, so I don't know. Calvin, did you ever watch the 1958 movie A Night to Remember? Countless Bond actors are in it, excluding John Cleese and Ben Whishaw, all the actors of Q. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. No, I haven't, actually. That's the Titanic film, isn't it? Is Honor Blackman in it? I seem to remember. Most annoying James Bond character. Oh, Madeline Swan. Really irritates me, that. Muse need to do a Bond theme. Yes, I completely agree with that. I love Muse. Muse and Lady Gaga are like the only really 2 acts that I would like really, cheer for if they ever got the gig. I once had a dream I was in the truck chase in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Amazing. That'd be quite an exciting dream. Vesper, Lind, or Tracy? I would go with Vesper. Yeah, Vesper, I think. Yeah. Vesper's awesome. I love Eva Green as well. She's just one of those actresses who if no one's seen the movie Cracks, I think it was directed by Ridley Scott's daughter. And it's a drama, and Eva Green's like this teacher at school, and there are all these girls, and it's, I don't know, it's certainly not an action film, but I thought she was phenomenal in it. I think it was from like 2009, 2010, something like that. So yeah, but yeah, I would recommend that if you're an Eva Green fan. Rock theme for No Time to Die. Yes, I would actually quite like something a bit more along the lines of You Know My Name. Like that level of sort of like intensity would be quite nice to go back to. All right, I've watched the George Lazenby Hong Kong film Stoner. I feel you can actually tweak the plot a bit and imagine it as a Bond film. That's interesting because I need to listen to. I know George Lazenby did a radio play or an audio play. You can buy it recently where he plays a spy, and I would be quite interested to listen to that. I'll be doing a review of it at some point. I haven't listened to it yet. Do you think they're trying to bring back Arnold for No Time to Die? This Bond composer news has to be very intrigued. I agree, actually, Matthew, because for people who don't know, James Bond Radio put out a tweet where they said that Dan Romer was no longer involved in No Time to Die. And that was a couple of weeks ago, and since then there's been like nothing else about it. So I'm kind of like, James Bond Radio is like a source of news. I quite I've met a fair few of the guys, and I know that they're good like people. They're not just like chasing likes or shares or anything. They wouldn't post something unless it was substantiated in some way. So I kind of just took it as like, oh yeah, wow. But then I haven't heard anything of it since. So, but if Arnold comes back, that is my ideal scenario. Do you like Killing Eve Series 2? Yes, but not as much as Series 1. And I think Phoebe Waller-Bridge was less involved in 2. So I think that might have, been a part of the reason. But I did really I love that show. I think that show is absolutely fantastic. Calvin, you should watch Dragon Ball. It's an amazing show. I used to watch Dragon Ball. Well, no, actually, I'd seen a few episodes of Dragon Ball from when I was much younger. And yeah, I never really got into anime all that much. Do you play Red Dead Redemption 2? No, but that is one that I'm pointing with my drink stirrer thing here, just so you know. It's not my usual pointing apparatus. Are there any Bond discussion groups or forums you'd recommend? Hey ho. I used to. Well, I'm a lurker, so I usually sort of go in the message boards. Like the MI6HQ one was one that I always used to go on, like, and I still go on every now and then just to sort of like look around. I don't really post that much. Facebook groups. There are some really good Facebook groups for Bond discussion. There's Shaken Not Stirred, which is run by a really great guy called Matthew, and he's done meetups before in London, and I went to the first one, and it was really awesome. And it's a really nice community, which is nice because I've seen some that can get a bit I don't know, aggressive or exclusive, and it's kind of like, but the Shaken Not Stirred is run so well. So yeah, if you're on Facebook, I would recommend going to the Shaken Not Stirred Facebook group if you want some good chat about Bond. Do you have a special workout routine? I do not work out at all, so I'm very pleased to read such a question. Have you ever seen The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody? Yeah. My sister was a big fan when we were younger. Benjamin, good to see you. Not late at all. Have you seen the mockumentary Going for Goldeneye? It's a mockumentary about the Goldeneye competitive scene. It's on Amazon Prime. No, I have not, but I'm going to be checking that out. Going for Goldeneye. I quite like that. I heard you like Muse, my fave band. What's your fave song? Oh, Time is Running Out. I love Time is Running Out. I mostly go to the Commander Bond and MI6HQ forums. Commander Bond is a very good forum as well. Yeah. Worst non-Bond Roger Moore film? What's that film where he's like gay and he's on a boat something? That was pretty bad. He's great in it, but the film itself is really bad. Any Bond podcasts you like? I feel like I listen to so many now. I recently listened to 00 Files, which I really, really like. The James Bond Complex is like my go-to. Every time I finish a Bond book, I go there and listen to their podcasts. And James Bond Radio I was actually listening to today. They have a really good interview with John Richardson, the special effects guy from a load of the films. And that was great. And then Being James Bond, I listen to very regularly. Joe Darlington is the host, and I met him in person. He's such a great guy. Yeah. And of course, there's James Bond and Friends, which I occasionally am on. What do you do as work? I'm an IT manager. Well, I work for a large entertainment corporation as an executive for children's animated television, is the short way of saying it. So I basically give notes and read a lot of scripts, and I'm sort of like an executive for the studio, in charge of the production of several kids animated series. When are you going to be back on James Bond and Friends podcast? I actually recorded with the guys last night, so I'm not sure when it's going to be up, probably in a couple of weeks. But yeah, it was fun. What Roger Moore as a gay on a boat? Tom, is it called Boat Race? Cuba Gooding Jr. is in it. Is it Cuba Gooding Jr.? Yeah, some boat trip. That's it. Thank you, X24 Rider. Had me in stitches. Like, Roger Moore is actually really good in it. I don't think it's a very good film, but I think he's very good in it. Have you seen any of Stanley Kubrick's filmography? Yes, I have the box set. Love some Doctor Strangelove. I think that's probably my favorite of his, with sets by Ken Adam, of course. So some Bond connection there. Oh, I finally got some mint in my teeth. It was bound to happen eventually, folks. I'll have a less messy drink for the next live stream. James Bond and Friends has become my go-to hanging out the washing podcast. Amazing. I love that. I'm the same. I always have like a podcast on when I'm doing like, house chores or something. It's yeah. And my commute, I walk to the station listening to a Bond podcast. I get on the train, I read a Bond book for half an hour until I get to my destination. That's my my routine. Right. Have you ever been to Austria? Greetings from Vienna. I've watched you since 2012. Oh, thank you, Lucas. That's very kind. Thank you for staying with me all this time. 7 years, Jesus. I'm American, but watch your YouTube channel. Well, you can be American and watch it. That's fine, William. Favorite movie is On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Well, it is an absolute classic, so yeah, I'll drink to that. Any excuse for a drink. Have you been to the Stanley Kubrick exhibit at the museum in Kensington? I haven't. Is it still on? I thought it was closing. Do you think Christopher Nolan could direct a Bond film? I think he could, certainly. Whether or not he will, Oh, I don't know, because the problem with someone like him, it's almost like bringing in like Sam Mendes. It's when the director is, well, no, actually, I mean, Christopher Nolan is in another level, Sam Mendes, I think, but it's when the director has a lot of personality, and he's going to put his own stamp on it, whether you like it or not. And I think Christopher Nolan would do a really great one. I would like him to do the first of a new Bond's tenure to kind of set that style, and then other people will come in and emulate that and go on from there. Right. Hey, Carmen, do you collect the James Bond Funko Pops? Just me that thinks Ben Whishaw would look cute as a Funko Pop. No, Ginger Geek, hello. Cheers. No, I don't collect the Funko Pops because I have very limited space. For you can see, I have my GoldenEye device behind me. I have my Golden Gun up there, and then I have a couple of shelves here of a load of Bond books. Got my Folio Societies here. Some more up here. And then some Bond CDs here. Yeah, I don't really have that much room when I'm renting in London, so it's like space is always an issue. Sorry, I'm hiccuping on my mojito. Mojito? Any excuse for a drink? Sounds like an alcoholic's train of thought. Well, Danny, well, it's Saturday. And treat myself every now and then. Calvin, which is your favorite early Hitchcock film? I watched Secret Agent and Lady Vanishes last week. I enjoyed them both, but the Lady Vanishes, I'm completely with you on this, Matt. Lady Vanishes, for the longest time, I would have cited that as my very favorite Alfred Hitchcock film. I think it's a phenomenal. It's everything. It's a thriller. It's funny. It's just action. It's just literally a movie where there is everything. And I don't make them like that anymore. Will you be reviewing The Man with the Golden Gun soon? Yes, I will, because, Jack, I wrote my review for it last weekend. So, yeah, I'm just going to be, like, putting it together and everything. And then, yeah, it'll be up before Christmas for sure. Cinco F, has there been any major changes since your last ranking video of the whole films? I always struggle with the top one. Like, is it GoldenEye? Is it Skyfall? Because, like, I watched GoldenEye on Blu-ray a couple of months ago probably, and I was like, oh hell, really love this. Maybe it should have been my number one, but then I saw Skyfall at the Albert Hall with the live band, band orchestra, and again it just blew me away, and I was like, oh no, wait, that's my favorite. It's just it's difficult to ever rank the Bond films. Yeah. Watched Waltzes from Vienna the other day. Surprisingly good. Maybe I'm biased because I really, really like the Blue Danube Waltz. I really mispronounced that, didn't I? I've seen Waltzes from Vienna years ago, and I can't remember. It's like a super early Hitchcock film. I think, am I right in thinking it's one of his comedies? What kind of wristwatch do you wear? Well, I don't have one on at the moment. I would love a Rolex or an Omega, but no, I've just got an Emporio Armani one from years ago. Benjamin, your birthday tomorrow. Well, happy birthday. Happy birthday for in just a few hours' time. God. Congratulations. Dream Bond villain. Ooh. That's a good question. I would like to see another female main Bond villain. Maybe someone like Charlize Theron. I know she's just come to mind because of Fast and the Furious, but someone like that I think would do really good. Do you like Columbo? I do like Columbo. And just one more thing. Top 10 best Bond funny moments. Also best Bond gadgets, please. Oh well, I've got a top 10 best Bond gadgets video on my channel, so do check it out, Callum. Love to meet up with you. Oh well, no, well I'm yes. Have a look at like Shaken Not Stirred, and I think there's going to be a lot of meetups building up to No Time to Die. So I'll be around in London. So hopefully see people. It was really nice actually at the BFI day when they screened the 3 Bond films. It was really nice to like meet a lot of people because there was like so many people there. Right, Tom S. I don't want to offend you. Sorry, that just caught my attention. I don't want to offend you. So this must be salacious. I don't want to offend you, but you are from London, I presume. As a Finn, I presume you know where I'm from. I'm not from London, actually. I live in London now, but I'm from Yorkshire, which is up in the north of England. And yeah, a very different vibe to London. I think I'll probably end up moving back up north someday. I've been in London for about 2011 I moved down, so 8 years. Yeah. And my accent's changed as a result. BFI Day was great. Yes, it was. Yeah, well, yeah. Like I say, meeting people. I met Ben Cole then, and that was fantastic. It was really great, actually. Ben Cole, like, is writes all these amazing comments on videos and stuff. And he came over and was like introducing himself, and he was like, "And my avatar is Seymour Skinner," and I was like, "Oh my god, that's you! Oh my god!" It was so cool. And there were quite a few moments like that at the BFI Day. Like, there was some, like, a couple of the James Bond radio guys were there, and I was like, oh my god, hello. Brian Dobson was there. So yeah, it was really cool. I really like those kinds of, because even though Bond does extend beyond, the cult fan community, at the same time, I feel like, there are a lot of similar faces and names, and that's really nice. It feels like a proper little community, which I quite like. The North is the best. Incidentally, I'm from Newcastle. Very goodly, and my stepmom is from Newcastle, and my dad lives up there now. Well, they both live up there now. Right, Bilbo Baggins. What do you think of the new It movies? I've seen the first one, and I thought it was really good. I haven't seen the second one yet. I heard it wasn't as good as the first. Right. Ben Cole, you certainly did make an impression. Who do you want to be the new James Bond? Well, either James Norton or Richard Madden would be my picks, but I don't think it's going to be anyone that anyone is talking about. When it's actually announced, I'm pretty sure it's going to be someone who we haven't even considered, much like how Daniel Craig was like, I don't think he was on anyone's list. But do you think No Time to Die will bomb at the box office? It depends how their marketing campaign is going to go in the lead up to it, because I feel like they really need to catch up and generate some hype. Not just like within the Bond fan community, but within the just general cinema goers. Because if you're not a big Bond fan, I don't know if you would really know that much about it. So I think they're gonna have to do something pretty radical, really. Do I think it will bomb? Being Craig's last film, and given that Spectre and Skyfall made a bucket load of money, I don't think it will bomb. Will it? I think it could be his most financially successful, but again, that depends on how they promote it leading up. Have you been to Wales? George Jones? I have not, but I would really like to. It's been on my list for quite some time. Have you been to Ireland? No, the same thing. But I am actually hoping to arrange a trip to Ireland next year. So hopefully that'll happen. No Bond has bombed at the box office, not even Licensed to Kill Bond. Yes, a good point there. I don't think any of them have technically lost money. What if James Bond step in at Disneyland? Well, I hear he will do in one of the John Gardner books I've got coming up. So that'll be an interesting one. Doesn't he like save Princess Diana in Disneyland? Sounds nuts, but yeah. What do you think of the awful article saying that Bond will die and the new Bond girl will lead all the new 007 films? First of all, I don't think that's because I think it's not a Bond film. Then if you kill James Bond, it's not James Bond series anymore. So I don't think first of all, I don't think anyone's going to take over from him. I think like once Craig is done, we will have another actor play James Bond, and then he will continue on the series. Whether or not Bond dies in the film, I really hope he doesn't die. I mean, that is kind of my line in the sand when it comes to these kind of things, because I just I don't think that character, he's so resilient and he's been put through so much and always comes out. He's a true hero. And I think to die would be, I don't think it would be very satisfying. Hey, Calvin, I heard the budget for No Time to Die is reportedly around $250 million. So it would really have to, well, not to bomb. Yeah, no, quite right. Marry, fuck, kill, Connery, Moore, Brosnan. Oh, that's, well, marry Moore, obviously. He'd be a gentleman. He'd be nice to be married to, I think. As for the F and kill, I can't possibly pick. But having seen Brosnan without his top off in a spa recently, he's a contender. Diamonds or Octopussy? I would pick Octopussy out of that and Diamonds. I've always loved Octopussy. I don't really get when people are so negative towards it. I just think it's like it's a classic Roger Moore romp of a Bond film. I think it's really yeah. Calvin, that turtleneck is to die for. Well, thank you, eSpace Productions. Yeah, no, this is one of my NPL tops that they I've still got the packaging here because I'm like, it's really nice packaging. Yeah. Because they have their Bond range, and I was gifted a couple, which was very, very kind of them. And this is one of them, which is really nice. Right. Bond in Disneyland. Why isn't this a film? Yeah, it should be something. If it ends like The Dark Knight Rises, I will be so annoyed. Right? Yeah. I see. That's the thing. I don't think that Bond is the series to have that kind of like ambiguous, like, oh, is the hero really dead kind of thing? Because he's James Bond, for God's sake. It's, you know. Who's your favorite superhero? Does Magneto count? Because I know he's usually a villain, but sometimes he fights on the side of good, and I really love Magneto. Like, both Fassbender and Ian McKellen, I think, are phenomenal. X-Men are my favorite superhero film series. Calvin, which movie score is, according to you, the best? Mine are Majesty's Secret Service and A View to a Kill. I really love Right, okay, I'm going to have to give you like a top 5. From Russia with Love, Majesty's Secret Service, Die Another Day, Tomorrow Never Dies, World Is Not Enough. It has to be those 5. I'm a big David Arnold fan. I love his work. Most annoying TV character. Oh, interesting. I never liked Sam from Game of Thrones, and I know that might be a controversial thing to say, but he always really got on my nerves. I was saying get on my tits then. It's the rum finally kicking in, I think. Ben Wishaw mentioned Q's cats could make an appearance in No Time to Die. How do you see that happening? Well, Lorraine, I think yes. If they were to, like, let's say, visit his home, his cats may well make an appearance there. You have the GoldenEye satellite replica and Golden Gun. How much are those, and where can I get them? Well, you'll have to go to the Factory Entertainment website, which is and they're not cheap, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, I got the Golden Gun. I think it was about £300 back in the day, and that was like, I felt really bad about that because I think it was just after my 21st birthday, and my grandparents had given me some money that they'd been saving since I was like a little kid, and were like, well, you can put this towards your first, house or car or something like that. What did I do with it? I went and bought a bloody Golden Gun prop replica, but I do love it. I wouldn't, if I'd have bought a car, I would have changed the car by now. I'm going to have this Golden Gun forever. So, yeah. Never did tell Grandad, though. Bless his soul. Calvin, will you get Disney Plus when it's released in the UK at the end of March? I'm planning on, yeah. But the thing is with these streaming services, it's like you can only have so many, because it's like I've already got Netflix and Amazon, and adding another one into the mix is just about bearable. But then I want to watch the morning show, the Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon show, but I just don't want to pay for Apple TV. Calvin, if you own the GoldenEye, does that mean you also have access to the filing codes? Yes, I do. I have access to all the filing codes. Calvin, have you ever watched Doctor Who? I have. I watched all of Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant, and then I couldn't take to Matt Smith, so that's when I kind of fell off the wagon. Sorry, Calvin, Dumbo is the best golden era Disney film. Disagreed with all your feelings from Diminishing Returns, and Baby Mine is a lovely song too. I'm sorry, Ali. I still don't like Dumbo. I haven't watched it in a long time, but it's, yeah. Do you play any instruments or sing? No, I don't. I'm so unmusically gifted, I can't begin to properly articulate how rhythmless I am. Would you rather fight Scaramanga or Connery? If I could fight Scaramanga in his funhouse, I would do that, because at least I'd have some fun before I got shot. I think /hope we'll get the No Time to Die trailer next week. He'll be on the Late Show with Colbert on Friday, and he interesting. Very, very good point by Lloyd there. I didn't know that Craig was going to be on the Late Show. He might well choose that to sort of, launch. I just hope that they actually give you some indication of when they're going to be putting it up, the No Time to Die trailer, because I don't just want them to like drop it. Like, it would be nice if there was, generating a bit of hype at some point. But how they've been releasing information so far, it's just been like, oh, here's the title, here's the teaser poster, and it's generate some hype, like, get people speculating and talking about it for a week before you actually do it. Worst Disney remake. It's probably hard to pick the best Disney remake. I didn't like Beauty and the Beast at all. I thought it was really quite horrible. Thoughts on the Lethal Weapon films? I haven't actually seen them, Harry, so I'm sorry about that. John Kenneth Wiseman, ciao from Italy. Sorry for my tardiness. It's a pleasure to have you here, John. Oh, cheers. Happy Saturday. What time is it in Italy? It must be like close to 9 o'clock, I guess. Or is it close to 10? Craig dropping the trailer on Colbert would be nice symmetry, since that's how he announced his return. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a really good point, Sock Monkey 007. The Bond Experience. Hello, David. Glad you could join. Cheers. Happy Saturday. Where you are, it must be about 4 p.m., I think. So happy afternoon. It might be a little bit too early to start drinking, but cheers anyway. Thank you, Bond Experience. Nice sweater. Thank you. He recognizes it's NPL. Okay, what do you think Madeline Swan's role will be in No Time to Die? Well, actually, the more the time goes on, I'm more and more interested in seeing what kind of role she's going to play, because now that it doesn't just look like she's going to be brought back to be killed and then Bond has to get revenge, which I would not have liked anyway. I'm hoping she's going to have a bit more of an interesting role, and hopefully she'll be a lot better than she was in Spectre. Hopefully we'll actually understand why Bond fell for this woman. Zach Cherry, hello, glad you could join. Are you going to see Knives Out? I am, and I cannot wait. Like, Daniel Craig and Jamie Lee Curtis together in a film. I'm so there. Fantastic. Bend my dick, Cumbersnatch. Brilliant name. Never too early to start drinking. Quite right. The Bond Experience is the coolest guy ever. I'm gonna have to agree with you there, Benjamin. Yeah. I'm guessing everyone here knows the Bond Experience, because he's like, yeah, literally living the life of James Bond. Favorite Disney Renaissance film? Ooh, possibly Aladdin, maybe Beauty and the Beast, or The Lion King. Like that those three are just phenomenal. Calvin, as a kid, Samedi was my favorite villain, so was gutted when he never returned. So what would you think if Baron Samedi had turned up in The Man with the Golden Gun? That is a very good question, because of course he is, well, whether or not he's alive, or whether it's like a little just, wink for the audience at the end of Live and Let Die, I suppose, open to debate. If he had have come back, I probably would have been all right with it, but then you would have to answer the question of like, okay, well, there are supernatural elements at play in James Bond's world now, and then it's probably best that they just left him in that film. Worst Bond game ever? Ooh, probably 007 Legends. I was not a fan of that when I replayed it recently. So, thoughts on Madeline Swan as a Spectre agent? Maybe she turned out to be a villain. I'd probably be really into that. Yeah, I don't see why not. Worst non-Bond Sean Connery film? That's a good question. I haven't seen Zardoz. I hear that one's pretty bad. But League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That took me far too long to think of that. That should be at the tip of anyone's tongue for worst Sean Connery non-Bond film. What James Bond prop do you plan to buy next? I don't know, actually. Like, got me GoldenEye, got me Golden Gun, and I have a Spectre ring here, the one from based on the one from Russia with Love. So yeah, I don't know yet. Buying a Bond prop replica is kind of like a very occasional thing for me. Like I say, like space is kind of difficult. So one day I would love to have a collection. Well, like David's at the Bond Experience, he has like the best like Bond collection. Like you need to head over to his channel and watch his videos where he like shows off his like. Well, in fact, it's like in every video he's just like in front of like some amazing collection he has in the back, and I'm like, I often like pause the video and then I'm like, right, what's he got? What's there? So yeah, if I'm ever over that side of the Atlantic, David, I'm popping in to have a look at your collection, because it's quite a marvel, I must say. Live and Let Die or The Man with the Golden Gun? Definitely Live and Let Die. Has to be Live and Let Die. The Man with the Golden Gun has some good things in it, but I just think Moore's performance is very I don't know, just some of how they try to make him too cruel, and he can't do it. It's like you see it in his eyes, like when he's sort of like leering at Andrea when she's like offering to sell herself, basically, so that he'll go and kill Scaramanga. It's just icky. I don't like it. Right, so curious about watching Darby O'Gill and the Little People, given Sean Connery. I haven't seen Darby O'Gill and Little People. It's like some old, like, I think it's from the 50s, isn't it? It's some old Disney movie where Sean Connery sings. Well, he's dubbed, apparently. But, yeah. But I do need to see that. You can take a guest room anytime. Thank you, David. I will be taking you up on that. You will regret saying that, my friend. Have you seen The Rocketeer? I love Dalton's performance in it. I haven't, actually. Does N. Peel sell Bond pajamas or bathrobes? I don't think N. Peel does. Oh god, what's it called? David will know this. It's just not coming to my mind right now. It's not Molten Brown. Olabar Brown. That's it. It's the rum taking effect. Olabar Brown did a Dr. No shower robe, which was really cool, and I really coveted, but wasn't to be. Right, Calvin, have you looked into Death Stranding at all? Leia Sadu stars as one of the main characters in the game. Oh, that's interesting. No, but I'll be having a look at that. That'd be really interesting to see her act in a game. Why do you like Nightfire? Hugh, well, why do you like Nightfire? I'm guessing you're not a fan if you're asking why I like it. I just think that Nightfire is a perfect Bond film to video game transition. Similar to Everything or Nothing also has that, but Everything or Nothing just goes a little bit too sci-fi in places that you kind of can't imagine it being an actual Bond film. There's like one bit where this like looks like a leftover asset from a Star Wars video game like comes out of the water, and it's like a helicopter thing with like some kind of force field shield, and it's like, oh god, this is really ridiculous. Whereas Nightfire, I think, is just about like at that point in the Brosnan era, they could have made that film, and it would have been really cool. Do you think Madeline Swan could potentially be this kidnapped scientist Bond is sent to rescue in No Time to Die? I don't think so. I wouldn't describe her as a scientist. She's a doctor, of course, but not quite sure what her degree was in. But yeah. Would you be interested if I made my own spy story? You go for it, Daniel. Yeah. Hey, Calvin, what do you think will happen for the 60th anniversary? Will we get an anniversary without a Bond movie? Well, this is an interesting one, isn't it? Because when you think of, like, the gap, and also, if this is definitely going to be Craig's last film, they're going to have to cast someone new, which is a big undertaking in and of itself, and to do that in 2.5 years might be cutting it a bit fine, but I mean, you know, as Skyfall proved, it's like, and Die Another Day as well, it's like, if you release a Bond film in a big anniversary year where there is so much celebration and nostalgia for the franchise, then that's going to pay off big time. So I would like it. I think it'd be a shame if they missed it and then, you know, had one out for the 61st anniversary. It's just not quite got the same ring to it. Right. Meant in a polite way, but what is it about the Bond character films that led to your obsession? I'm asking as fellow Bond obsessive. Well, thank you, Sam H. That's a very good question because, it was, well, when I started doing the channel, I was always a big Bond fan from childhood. And then I was a student with time on my side. And, you know, I was a film student, so I just wanted to, like, you know, editing software and all that kind of stuff, just like an excuse to do all that. And I felt like it was either Bond or Hitchcock, and they're obviously not going to be making any new Hitchcock films anytime soon because he's been dead for, 30 years, 40 years now. So, Bond seemed like the natural fit. And then things kind of spiraled much bigger from there, I think. It was always my favorite thing when I was a kid. You know, sort of adolescent, you know, 9, 10, 11 years old. Calvin, what versions of the Bond novels do you have? Well, I did turn my camera before, so I'm collecting the Folio Society ones. I've got Casino Royale through to Dr. No here. But for my like actual reading when I'm on my commute. Oh, I have this collection, which is quite old now, and some of the covers are a bit lame. Like, You Only Live Twice has this photoshopped picture of Sean Connery in front of a massive explosion, which does not represent that story very well. And then, like, Majesty's Secret Service has this very bland cover of just someone skiing. But you know what? They're paperbacks. They're really easy to like throw in my bag and stuff, read on the train. Whereas the Folio Society ones, they're like, nope, they stay at home. They do not leave this flat. And then because that collection didn't have all the Flemings, I had to buy these vintage 007 ones, which I think are really nice covers, actually. I think these are the ones that if you buy it now, you probably, in the UK anyway, these are the covers that you get. Yeah. Right. You should direct, produce, and write a Bond film. No one would like it apart from me. That's the problem. Because I'd have Bond in space, I'd have him in a flying car, I'd have him doing innuendos all over the place. No one would like it apart from me. I would literally be making it for myself if I were in that position and get telling off by MGM executives, probably. Sorry, just wanted to take a big... Oh, wow, I can taste the rum now. Maybe I did not muddle this very well. Right. Doesn't that collection miss a couple of books? Yeah. Well, yes. The box one does, and that's why I had to buy the extras. So I'm just pouring myself another Mojito, as Brosnan pronounces it. I said this at the start of the live stream. I swear, like, obsessed with his pronunciation of Mojito in Die Another Day. You just know that he's the kind of guy who goes to a restaurant and orders the most sort of complicated foreign sounding thing on the menu just so he can show off his pronunciation. What car do you have, Nightmare? I have a VW Golf automatic. Because I'm not a very good driver. I'm a very nervous driver. If there were no other cars on the road, I would be brilliant. But it's other people that I'm nervous about. So, Mr. White, I'd pay to see that film. Well, there'd be you and me sat in the cinema, and that would be about it. There'd be a bunch of other people complaining online about it. Right, what other video games do you play? Pokemon. I have my Nintendo Switch right here. Earlier on, I was playing Pokemon Sword. I'm a huge Pokemon fanatic. I love Pokemon so much. If you were Bond, how would your introduction go? Hey up, my name's Bond, James Bond. That's my slightly camp northern Bond. That I think it's important to bring some camp and northernness to James Bond. It's what Fleming would have wanted. Will we ever get a decent Bond versus Bond villain fist fight in a Bond film third act? That's a good... It's been quite some time since we've had that. Brosnan's usually had, like, you know, GoldenEye, World's Not Enough, Die Another Day. They all had good fist fights at the end. The Craig one's less so. Craig has not had a really satisfying final showdown with a villain. Closest we've got is Silver in Skyfall, and even then that was just like literally stabbing a man in the back. Yeah. Right. Elliot Carver or Electra King? I would have to go with Electra King because it's the novelty of having a main female Bond villain, which is something that I think the series must do again at some point. James Bond versus Jason Bourne. James Bond would win hands down. What if James Bond had a crossover like Mission Impossible? I still need to catch up because I'm doing the Mission Impossible reviews as a part of my Patreon reviews, and that's a really good excuse for me just to see them, to be honest, because previously I'd seen the first 4, and I think I'd maybe seen them like once or twice, but I've never been a huge fan, but I hear that the recent ones are actually really good. So I'm kind of working my way up to that. Adopted Lobster, great. Why do you used to hate License so much? And I think you should show it to your partner because I want to see a non-Bond fan's view of that film. Well, I've shown my partner Casino Royale, Skyfall, and GoldenEye so far, and all of them have had rather muted responses. Casino Royale went down very well. I thought Skyfall would have been the favorite, but no, it was Casino Royale. So yeah. License to Kill. I think I never liked it because I think it was always the most jarring when I was a kid, because it is suddenly so much more violent and drugs and all this kind of stuff. It felt like a different level. It didn't feel like a Bond film, quite frankly, and I would only ever watch it in sequence with the others. So you go from all the Roger Moore films and The Living Daylights to License to Kill. It's like, whoa, really jarring. And then I saw it out just in isolation. Whenever I last did my ranking video, and I really liked it. Liked it a lot. I think I used to hate it because, well, back then when I started doing the channel, it was very in vogue on the internet to really over dramatize, and the nostalgia critic, he was doing all that, like screaming at the camera and all that kind of stuff. So that was just sort of like what people did. Whereas now I think the conversation is much more mature and it's nicer that way. Yeah, so that's all good. Have you seen the 1967 spy film Deadlier Than the Mill? No, I have not. Should I check it out? Is it good? What was the best thing about 007 Legends? It's not actually the best thing. Well, I mean, if you want me to be honest, the Moonraker levels are pretty good. But my favorite thing is that really weird bit where it's a really awkward cutscene, and Bond's had a fight, kicks the guy into the lift, closes the lift door, turns around, Pussy Galore says, "By the way, I didn't catch your..." And he cuts her off and he just says, "James Bond." And it's like, you're a James Bond game. Like, how can he not say Bond, James Bond? Like, that is literally like, ask anyone on the street anything about James Bond. They will know he says Bond, James Bond. And then she's just like, "By the way, I didn't catch your James Bond." It's so strange. Right. Calvin, have you ever tried to join Channel Awesome? I haven't. No. And I don't think I would now. I think they're a bit... I don't watch the Nostalgia Critic anymore. I keep up with the, like, Lindsay Ellis, the Nostalgia chick, is, like, hands down my favorite non-Bond video or just content producer, like, in that space. I think she is so insightful and witty and funny and smart and just absolutely brilliant. I think she's great. So I would join her channel if she would have me. But thank God he didn't join Channel Awesome, because I'd rather he not suffer joining that site. Well, quite right, Sebastian. But it used to be good back in the day. I used to be a big fan. Worst Bond director. I'm going to go with Mark Forster. He brought a lot of pretension to Quantum of Solace that it really didn't need. Any Bond girls that you felt were miscast? Huh, interesting. I mean, Denise Richards is a go-to, I suppose, but I've actually come to reevaluate her role in that film, actually. I'm a bigger fan of hers than I think I probably let on. Do you watch The Cinema Snob? I used to. I don't anymore, though. Right. John Kenneth Wiseman. Christopher Lee stole the show in The Man with the Golden Gun. Have you ever seen The Wicker Man? Not the Nick Cage version. I've seen both versions of The Wicker Man, and I saw that atrocious sequel that they made, like, it was about 10 years ago, something like that. Yeah, Wicker Man, I was kind of like, it's got Britt Eklund in it as well, and she gets her top off, lads. And I thought it was going to be scarier than it was, actually. I need to go back and rewatch it. What are your thoughts on the Lashana Lynch comment about having her character on period and throwing a tampon in the bin? Thank you, Lloyd. It's been over an hour before something so controversial has come up in this discussion. That whole Lashana Lynch thing, I kind of don't even really like to talk about it, if that makes any sense, because I think it's obviously something that is not going to be in the film. Like, never in a million years. But it's just that the conversation around those comments just got really toxic, and people were just using it as an excuse to dog on, like, her specifically, which I think is unfair. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of reminded me, if it could happen this way anyway, like with The Last Jedi, all that stick that the lady who played Rose got was so unfair, like, purely by virtue of, being a woman and, of the ethnicity that she is. And I feel like Lashana Lynch might get a lot of that, which is really annoying, because if you're going to critique something, it should be based on, like, what is in the film. And even then, it's like the actor is paid to turn up and do the job that she's, written the part as written. I hated The Last Jedi, by the way. And specifically because I hated, I mean, one of the things I hated the most was that Rose character. I thought she was the character was dreadful. The actress just did what she was told to do and, you know, played the part. So not her fault. I just think it was written horrendously. Yeah, that's my 2 cents on The Last Jedi that no one asked for. Oh, Hugh, quite agree with Rose. Yeah, I think she is terrible. Do you still tell the ending of Never Say Never Again to fuck off? Yes, that random bloke, I do on the rare occasion I watch Never Say Never Again. Have you seen the 4.5-hour video examining it? Sorry, went down the wrong way. Have you ever seen the 4.5-hour video examining and explaining Twin Peaks? That's a great video essay, one of the best vids on YouTube. I have not. I haven't watched the continuation series of Twin Peaks, though. Do I need to watch that? I've seen the first 2 original ones and the movie. I don't like the way some Star Wars actors are treated by the fans. I quite agree, James. Like, I think it's so rarely the individual actor's fault. Like, it's the production, it's the writing, it's the direction. It's like, you know, and she is hired to channel their vision and put it on screen. To have a go at her is just unfair, and I'm afraid that Lashana Lynch is going to get that, depending on how the character is perceived in the film, even though it won't be her fault. It's like she's just hired to do the part. But she'll get all the stick. Daisy Ridley is a Bond girl in time. I think that would work. Yeah, I like Daisy Ridley. Are you looking forward to Star Wars 9? I'm slightly hesitant about it, given how I felt about The Last Jedi, which was not great. Yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to it, but now with Carrie Fisher obviously dying, and just The Last Jedi my problem with The Last Jedi is that The Force Awakens was a film that tried to get you to, like, really, like, love this. Remember all these great films that you loved? Well, we're making some more, and we're just going to do one of them over again, but still you're enjoying it, aren't you? Like, all these callbacks and stuff. You like seeing Harrison Ford and all this, and yeah, we all love that kind of stuff. So it was, like, all built around reminding you of all the things that you loved and getting you excited again. And then The Last Jedi comes along and does the opposite of that, and is sort of like telling you, like, well, why do you care about these things? Well, we're literally going to burn these Jedi books, and we're going to exposit and talk about how none of this really matters, and why do you care? And we need to burn it all down so we can start again. And I'm like, well, literally the last movie, you were telling me that I should remember everything and that I should want to hold these things sacred and have these nostalgia trips. And now you're telling me that the opposite. It's really... Yeah, anyway, that's my dissertation on The Last Jedi. Great question, Kaylin. Oh, Kaylin, sorry, have I missed your comment? Calvin, we all know Skyfall is the prettiest, so what's the ugliest / visually bland Bond film? That is a very good question. I rewatching The Man with the Golden Gun so recently, I was really struck by how, like, cheap that one looked. Like, some, like, the sets and everything, it looks like a TV production. It's so quite possibly that one. Excuse me. Are you going to review the new James Bond corgi cars? Again, it's like the size of, you know, collection issue that I have. I don't know if I would have the space to house such a big collection, but yes, watch the Twin Peaks continuation. I will do so, Jack. I hate Harrison Ford dying in The Force Awakens. I cried for a while after that. It really hit me as well. Like, seeing Han Solo die was like a, oh my god, sort of moment. The Man with the Golden Gun really misses Ken Adam. Yep, you're right there. Calvin, have you looked into No One Lives Forever yet? No, I haven't actually. But I do need to. Are you a Star Wars fan? Well, yeah, quite big actually. Yeah, my Star Wars fandom predates my James Bond fandom. Most disappointing film you've seen? Like, in Bond, or just disappointing film in general, James? Because if it is just in general, then quite possibly The Last Jedi, just in terms of, like, where my hype level was at, compared to, like, the film that, you know, I eventually, we all saw. It was just, my favorite Blofeld is Charles Grace. Just a jump to the left. I love Charles Gray. I think he's fantastic. Like, I think I'm saying that without irony as well. Like, I think he genuinely is a fantastic villain in Diamonds Are Forever. Right. Will Dim Returns come back? Yeah, Diminishing Returns is a podcast that I do with a couple of friends of mine, and we just talk about general movies. They're not big Bond fans. We do look at Bond films, and then it's basically just me saying like, "Oh, well, I like it," and then they're like, "Calvin, why do you like this?" But yeah, no, it's weekly, Hugh. So you can head over, just search Diminishing Returns podcast, and you'll probably find us. There's something I'd like you to get off your chest. Yes, what, me physically, or most disappointed with Spectre? Yeah, actually, Spectre was very disappointing. Worst Star Wars villain. Ooh. I don't actually know if I have a worst Star Wars villain. Probably Snoke, because they made him the worst by just like making him pointless. What if he jumps to the right? Quite right, Mark Johnson. What happens if Charles Gray jumps to the right? Right. Have you seen Stranger Things? Yes, I have, Matt Unwin, and I'm a fan. I wouldn't say I'm obsessed with it. I don't love it, but I like it a lot. And of course, we have Mr. Beam from Quantum of Solace in it. I was still really shocked when I first started watching Stranger Things, and I was like, that's the guy who Felix was with on the plane in Quantum of Solace. Have you played Evil Genius, the 2004 Dungeon Keeper style game where the player plays a Bond-esque villain building a secret volcano lair with the goal of building a super weapon? I've not played that, but that sounds pretty fun, actually. I might well have to check that out. Have you watched the Lucifer series? No, I haven't. It's got Tom, what's his name? Is it Tom Ellis? He's the actor, isn't he? I'm thinking. You should review The Matador. It's Pierce Brosnan's best film. I saw The Matador at the cinema when it first came out, but I do actually want to revisit it. So yeah, I think I will. Yeah, have to look at that at some point, because I would like to. Because it was nice to look at on the channel. I looked at The Man Who Haunted Himself, which is a Roger Moore film, one that he really loved, and he said that he gave his best performance in. And I think it is quite nice to see. I know that Pierce Brosnan thinks quite well of Matador, so I think it'd be a good one to look at. Spy Who Loved Me book or License to Kill song? Weird question, I know. And do you like the License song? Spy Who Loved Me book, as in the Fleming one. If I had to remove one from existence, it would probably be the book, The Spy Who Loved Me, but not the Christopher Wood novelization, which is pretty great. I was surprised actually at how much I loved that. Right. Who is Keira Knightley? Keira Knightley is a British actress who was in Pirates of the Caribbean, actually. That's probably the biggest thing that she's been in. I don't know if I don't think she's ever been sort of sought out for a Bond film. Is Quantum of Solace the worst edited Bond film? Yeah, actually. Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to find one. Again, I always look over because I've got my posters here, the backgrounds in the video, so I look over for reference. But yeah, no, I think you'd have to, yeah. Right. She's the one from the Pirates of the Caribbean films. Yes, she is. What is your worst official Bond film? At the moment, it is probably Spectre. I find it the most joyless. I just kind of watch it and I'm just like, I don't get any kind of moment of elation out of it. I think all the action is quite tepid, and it's just, yeah, it's a shame because it deserved to be so much better. Just pouring myself another. Calvin, you need to watch Notes on a Scandal if you haven't already. Judi Dench plays a really bitter school teacher who is in love with Cate Blanchett and blackmails her for sleeping with a student. I saw it at the cinema when it came out, Matthew. But I do need to rewatch it, actually, because when it came out at the cinema, it was like 2007 or something like that. I need to, yeah, it's been quite some time. What do you think of Richard Kiel Jaws? Oh, he's amazing. I don't think you'll ever find a Bond fan who thinks that Richard Kiel wasn't great as Jaws. I think he's absolutely fantastic. I'm going to be watching From Russia with Love after your stream. Very good, very good. From Russia with Love is one that I return to so much, and I'm always like, is this the time it's going to like click with me, and I'm going to like understand like why it is one of the greatest in the series, but it just never quite does. It's yeah, it's a shame. But did you enjoy seeing Pierce Brosnan in The World's End? I did, but I didn't like the film very much. But it was nice to see him pop up. It's always nice to see a Bond pop up in another film. My dad suggested that Bond was going to get married in no time to die. Well, that's what I've read as well, actually. Goopy Newt. Yeah, apparently him and Madeline are going to start the film married, sort of like go on from there. If you could travel back in time and change anything about a particular Bond film production cast decision, what would it be? Ooh, that is a very good question because there's quite a few things. First of all, I would take John Barry away from the slide whistle. I would get him away from that for The Man with the Golden Gun and put some good music over that car flipping. So quite possibly that. I'd quite possibly have a different director for Spectre. I don't think that should have been Sam Mendes. I think another director might have been able to get a bit more out of it. But, you know. Good question, that. Yeah, very good. What are your thoughts on Madeline Swan? I can't stand her in Spectre. I think she's really... the character is very bland. I think the actress is fine, but the character's really bland, and I don't buy Bond falling in love with her. She just seems like, oh, well, he's going to go off and, you know, have another one, you know, another girl the next film. I didn't get what was so special about her. And that's a shame, because the film is really trying to sell you on how special she is to him. Yeah, Dalton in Hot Fuzz, better than Brosnan in World's End. I quite agree with that. Right, okay. How would you feel if someone re-edited the old Bond films like Star Wars? I'm not a fan of that idea in general. I think it's fine for them just to exist, even though, like I just said, like I hate that damn slide whistle in The Man with the Golden Gun, but it's there, it exists. Someone made that creative choice, and I don't think it would be right to go back, and because people are often, you know, they often talk about with GoldenEye the score, like, oh, wouldn't it be great to get David Arnold to do a GoldenEye score? Obviously, it's pie in the sky. I don't think that would ever happen, but you know, it's the score is, you know, part of that film. It's part of what I think of when I think of GoldenEye, is that boom, 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 and all that. But do you recommend the James Bond Blu-rays? Why, yes, I do. In fact, here's, you know, my set. Yeah, from nearly 10 years ago now, which is kind of crazy. But got my Bond 50 set, and then I have my Skyfall steelbook here as well, which is really nice. This is like my favorite steelbook I own, I think. It's absolutely gorgeous. Spectre one, not so much. I got that one too, and it was, yeah, not great. Hilary Duff as a Bond girl. Well, that would be interesting. Hilary Duff, she's Lizzie McGuire, isn't she? Used to watch that show when I was a kid. I hate re-edits of old films. I quite agree with you there, James. Ever read How James Bond Got His Name by Mary Wickham Bond? No, I haven't, actually. No. Have you seen any Martin Scorsese films? Yes, The Joker. I have seen several Martin Scorsese films. I actually really like Casino, but I think I'm in a bit of a minority there. I don't know if that's one of his more well-liked ones. Natalie Portman as a Bond girl. Yeah, I'd go in for that. What do you think of the new Kingsman trailer? I haven't seen it. I think the last one I saw was about a month ago, something like that. When are you going to review Johnny English Strikes Again? I will do at some point. I've seen it, is the thing. I watched it months ago, and maybe it says a lot about how I feel about it that it's taking me so long to actually get around to talking about it. Because I watched all three of them again, like all the Johnny English films in about 2 weeks, I think. I think the second one's the best. Casino Royale will always be Craig's best. Well, it's certainly up there, Benjamin. I've seen that one quite a few times this year with the Secret Cinema experiences as well. And yeah, it's a phenomenal film. Calvin, my brother suggested Anthony Hopkins as Blofeld. For some reason, this doesn't sit well with me. Maybe because he is so clearly Lecter to me, a bit like Cavill being Superman. Thoughts? I like Anthony Hopkins a lot, but he's one of those actors who is like universally adored, like brilliant actor, Oscar winner, like fantastic, and some of the things that he chooses to be in are questionable. I'm looking at the Transformers film he was in. Oh, Matt, it's interesting that From Russia with Love doesn't quite connect with you, Calvin, because it is so often spoken about as being the Hitchcockian Bond film. Oh, no, I completely agree. What are your thoughts about the Hitchcock comparison? I mean, I think that's part of the problem for me, because I'm such a Hitchcock fanboy. Like, Hitchcock is my favorite director. I love his films. And when I watch From Russia with Love, I just feel like I'm watching something that's kind of like directed by someone trying to be Hitchcock, but not quite. A bit like a lot of Brian De Palma films are kind of like that, where they're just over-egging it just a bit too much. Richard E. Grant for a Bond film, that would be amazing, Colin. Yes, I would really like that. I love Richard E. Grant. With Nail and I is one of my favorite comedies. I think it's fantastic. James Spader would be good in a Bond film, Cliff, for one. Yeah. I saw The American Office recently, where James Spader comes into like one of the later seasons, and the season isn't very good, but his character is quite fantastic, I think. Most overrated and underrated movies of all time. Of all time. Ooh, I'm trying to think now. Oh, that's really tough. Especially to think of the underrated. I can only think of what I've seen recently. I saw The Maltese Falcon recently, and I didn't like it all that much. Yeah. Would you have liked Bill Conti to do more Bond scores? Yes, actually, I would. I really like his score for Your Eyes Only. Robert California is a horrible character. I'm sorry. I thought he was quite funny. Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson is a Bond villain. I would go for that. Yeah. Have you seen Toy Story 4? Yes, I have, and I did not care for it very much, Benjamin, I'm afraid. I thought Toy Story 3 was like a perfect end to that story. And then for them to just like extend it, it needed to be something more than what it was to justify it. Oh, Jake, unpopular opinion, that got my attention. I put Diamonds in my top 10. What do you think about the film is good and what is bad? I think the action is quite poorly directed and staged, and particularly the car chase around Vegas. There's just like some shots where it's just like a long shot of like the camera's like up on a platform and you're just watching some cars like go around slowly around a car park, and I'm like, oh god. That moon buggy sequence as well, the action in the film is not very good. I think the dialogue is phenomenal. I think the dialogue is witty and funny and edgy, and it's so good. Like every line is like a quotable thing. It's so yeah, I think the dialogue is phenomenal. Right. Bill Conti's For Your Eyes Only score or Marvin Hamlish's The Spy Who Loved Me score. I would go with Bill Conti on that one, just because he does that rocking like gun barrel theme as at the start of the film. I love that so much. Calvin, you might enjoy John Pertwee's era of the Doctor. It's basically a fusion of James Bond and the Quatermass serial. So that's interesting. Nicole Scherzinger is a Bond girl. Well, she did a good version of GoldenEye for the GoldenEye video game. The song. Moon buggy sequence. Yeah, I know, right? Guy Hamilton didn't direct Superman the movie because he pulled a gun on the Salicans. What? What? Really? That's insane. I've never heard that. Martin Campbell to return for Bond 26. I don't know if Martin Campbell should ever come back to direct another Bond film anymore, because I think at this point, with the track record he has, he probably, given GoldenEye and Casino Royale being the phenomenal works that they are, I think he's in contention for being the best Bond director ever, and can he do it a third time? Who knows? I remember when you said you didn't like Aliens. I'm probably the only person who agrees with you. Well, Harry, I'll drink to that. I like Aliens. It's my least favorite film of the Alien franchise, though, which says more about how much I think they're all phenomenal works, really. Even Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection. Will you be reviewing the Young Bond books? It's certainly my intention, but I've got like quite a lot to go through. I'm going through all the John Gardner ones now, and then Benson, and then the further continuation novels. So yeah, I got quite a lot to go through. What are your main unpopular opinions about Bond? I think my entire channel is sort of just me explaining unpopular opinions about Bond. I think The World Is Not Enough is the one that I get called up on the most. Like, loving that film as I do. Like, I think it's one of the very best films, and I don't think Christmas Jones is that bad. I used to. Now I'm kind of less. Yeah. Not that anything ever needs to be changed about Twine, but which Bond film would Christmas Jones be more well suited to? Well, this is the thing about her. I'm like, when you look back at those Connery ones, they do just cast like, right, it's like they got the list of the contestants from, Miss World 1965, right? Which one are we going to go with? And it's like, I don't think she feels any different to the kind of actresses that they would get, in like the 60s or 70s, but it's just of a different era. Calvin Dyson, have you ever watched the films in book order and tried to make sense of them? That's actually a really interesting suggestion. I have not done that, but now I think I might have to. Yeah, I'm just looking at the book order now because I'm like, that'd be an interesting way of doing it. People need to stop dissing on World Is Not Enough. It's getting ridiculous. Quite agree, Benjamin. Quite agree. Your favorite Bond movie poster? The Skyfall IMAX with Craig and the Aston Martin. It's in the background in my videos. I love that poster so much. But if we're going to go for like one of the more proper ones, I love Moonraker. I have that one in my living room in a frame with Roger Moore there in the spacesuit and all the girls like floating around and stuff. I just think it's so much fun. It's great. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I hope that didn't alarm anyone. I just knocked the mic. Since reading the Fleming novels, have you come to appreciate Timothy Dalton's performance as Bond a bit more? I don't know if reading Fleming's novels has made me sort of reevaluate any particular Bond. Because they're also they all just make it their own anyway. I think I can understand like what some of the actors are more in tune with what was in the book. But no, not really. No. Have you seen the Parent Trap 1998 version? Yes, I have. Used to have it on video. Fiona Volpe is the most incredible femme fatale in the series, in my opinion. I mean, I'm a Zenyaronatop fan. So, which Bond girl would you spend the night with? Zenyaronatop. Favorite Bond documentary? There is a really good one that AJ Chowdhury, who co-wrote Some Kind of Hero, which is one of the very best books on the James Bond films. I'm going to steal from him because he said recently in an interview that his favorite Bond documentary was there was this amazing, I think it might be like 3 hours long, if I'm remembering rightly. It's certainly like over 2 hours long. It was this documentary that they made of The Spy Who Loved Me around the time that it was being made, and it was put on TV. And it was phenomenal. Like the amount of intricacy they go into. I think it's on YouTube. But I would highly recommend seeking that out. It's absolutely fantastic. Very long, but really, really good. Intend to rewatch The World Is Not Enough given its upcoming 20th anniversary. Well, Sebastian, I rewatched The World Is Not Enough on the big screen at the BFI Day not too long ago. So, yeah. It was great seeing it on the big screen, like with a proper audience who like, are really into it as well. It was, really great. And David Arnold did a Q&A preceding the film as well, which was really cool. Right. Have you bought the Bond Book of the Millennium? No, I haven't actually, but it is on my reading list. I think I'm gonna have to check it out at some point. Have you ever had a fist fight on a moving train? No. I don't think I've ever had a fist fight. I don't think I've ever had a fist fight. Right. World Is Not Enough has always had a special place in my heart. I was almost born at a showing of it in 1999. That's amazing, Travis. Oh, that's fantastic. Thoughts on Denise Richards' Friends cameo? Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, I like Denise Richards. Like when she pops up in stuff, I think she's quite Calvin, I recently watched your vid on when you met Pierce Brosnan. All I could think was, then maybe you shouldn't be swimming here. Yep. I was thinking that same thing myself. Favorite DVD Blu-ray extra? There is this really strange extra, and I'm going to do a video about it, actually. It's on the You Only Live Twice Blu-ray. And it's this promotional thing that they made at the time, and it's got like Q and Moneypenny in it in character. And Moneypenny's got this like gossipy friend who's like coming in and being like, oh, I hear James Bond's getting married. What do you think about that? And it's so strange. And it's like showing clips from the films and everything. And then there's also this like lady who like wants to marry James Bond, and she's going around and like you don't see her. She's just they just photograph her from like the eyes and stuff. Really weird extra. But really good. I can't remember. I think it might be called Welcome to Japan, Mr. Bond on the Blu-ray. A bit of trivia here. My grandfather used to repair Desmond Llewellyn's car. That is amazing, Bradley Willard. That is phenomenal. I bet your granddad got a lot of mileage out of joking about going and fixing anything that, belonged to Q. That's fantastic. The gossipy friend played by the Rani from Doctor Who. Oh, interesting. I don't know Doctor Who very well, but I'm glad to hear that you know what I'm talking about, Ben Cole. That's fantastic. Little Nelly versus Q's fishing boat, which is cooler. I think the fishing boat is cooler. Yeah, the fishing boat is cooler. No Time to Die, you're looking forward to? I really am, Robert Kelly. Are you? Because I know that the... Yeah, I was saying earlier on, actually, on this very live stream, that I think they need to really start generating some buzz, some hype for it sometime soon, because it's... Yeah, I think there's a lot of negativity about it, and they're just not telling us anything, like, apart from the vaguest of story details. I would really like some more information soon. Zachary, welcome to Japan, Mr. Bond. It was a special that aired on ABC in 1967. Kato Mara played the Rani in Doctor Who. There's a lot of correlation between, like, Doctor Who and James Bond fans. Like, I know this from Twitter, like, a lot of the people that I follow on Twitter, who are, Bond fans, and then a lot of them, are also Doctor Who fans. So I see a lot of tweets about Doctor Who and stuff, and I don't really know that much about it. It's one of those things where I'm a completist. So if I were to get into Doctor Who, like, properly, like, I started with Christopher Eccleston and watched up until the end of David Tennant. But if I were to get into it, I know that I would have to go back to, like, the 60s and, like, watch them all from then. And it's, like, nearly 60 years of television. I don't really have the time. Can you tie a bow tie? You know what? I don't think I can. Though I'm sorry to say this, everyone, but the one that I wear in my videos is fake. It's a clip-on. I'm sorry. I know it's been covered, but will you be doing any more James Bond games? Thank you, David. I will be, yes, because I bought the PlayStation 1 World's Not Enough, Tomorrow Never Dies, N64 GoldenEye I still need to make a video on. So yeah, and then in my ideal world, I would talk about every official James Bond video game that has ever been made, but it's just so difficult to, like, actually access some of them now when they're just, like, on these obsolete technologies. So yeah, but yeah, certainly PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64, that's all good. Oh, are you going to do the James Bond 007 game from the Game Boy? Get a Game Boy player to record it. It works with the GameCube. Yeah, no, I think I saw, actually, there is an emulator for that online. So I might be able to just do that one on the internet, which would be pretty cool. I will get you a bow tie when you visit, and we will learn how to tie one over a few Vespers. That would be delightful. I would love that. Okay, that's definitely happening at some point. Because honestly, I don't think I've ever tied a bow tie. I'm only thinking about this now. That's quite shocking, isn't it? I had to wear I didn't have to wear one, but I wore one at my high school prom. But I can't remember if I tied it or not. Yeah. Anyway, that's something that comes up in the comments on my videos every now and again. People are like, why do you get a proper bow tie and a proper dress shirt? I'm like, sorry. Do you attend conventions? I have not, actually. I've never attended a Comic-Con or anything like that. Not that I wouldn't not like to. It's just, I don't know, I'm in London. Like, God, it's like the most, But I suppose the thing, if there was, like, literally, like, a Bond convention, and I think there are a lot of, like, really good Bond groups that do the meetups and all that kind of stuff. Again, the Shaken Not Stirred Facebook group, which I think is really great. They've done a couple of meetups. And I like that, because then, it's all kind of the same fandom getting together. Whereas, because I'm not, I'm into Bond. I'm not really into Marvel or Doctor Who or a lot of the other things associated with conventions, so it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know if there'd be much for me, really. What's the scariest moment in Bond? I think that the opening of Octopussy is actually very scary with the clown and the twins, and it's all like really like just how that is directed and paced. I think is very horror movie. It's quite something. Right. Did you notice the weird repetition in the opening of Skyfall? Bond gets shot twice and falls in water twice. Oh, no, I haven't noticed that. Is that in the editing or something? You've never tied a bow tie? That is shocking. Positively shocking. Yes, it is. Quite. I still think this... I might as well be drinking water, quite frankly. Like, I don't know if I've not mixed the elements quite so well, but there's rum in here, soda water, some ice, sugar, lime juice. I don't know if all of that together just makes for a nothing cocktail, but I don't quite know if I made a good dent in this anyway. Halfway through. Well, it's Saturday, isn't it? Right. How many mojitos in are you? Well, that's it. I had one of these glasses, and then I had like half a jug more when I started this. But like I say, I felt like I put more in than what I'm getting out of it. Yeah, chug the jug. That would be terrible. That would be really, really terrible. Nothing to see till the morning. Have you seen E.T. the Extraterrestrial? Oh yeah, ages ago though. Ages and ages ago. I do actually need to rewatch it. It's probably one of Steven Spielberg's bigger films that I'm not actually very familiar with. Like Jaws is one of my favorite films. I love that. Thoughts on the recent rumors that Dan Roma quit the No Time to Die team due to Cary Fukunaga stinking? I didn't know that was the reason, but no, I saw the thing on James Bond Radio about Dan Roma, and I think that that's when most people saw that particular bit of news. And I mentioned earlier on, like, I think that, you know, I know that most of the James Bond Radio guys, and I know that they're not just going to post something unless there is truth in it. But, like, nothing has happened recently, so I'm just kind of, like, waiting for, like, when are they actually going to announce, like, make some kind of proper announcement about the composer? Yeah. On the most recent viewing of License to Kill, I didn't enjoy it as much. See, my opinion of it is like going up. I'm sure it'll be my favorite Bond film by 2030. Would brainwashing fix the James Bond codename theory? I'm not trying to convince anyone that it works as it is now, by the way. Brainwashing. I'm fine with it not like addressing like any kind of code name or like, oh well, why is this man called James Bond different like 30 years on? It's I'm fine for each film just like takes place in its own time, and it's, you know, I don't necessarily need it to work on a linear timeline because there would be a hell of a lot of retconning to make that happen. Are you going to review the Bond soundtracks? Well, I'm not actually that bigger music you know, like, whereas something like film, I like to think I know that medium very well. When it comes to like soundtracks and music, I'm not actually that sort of in the know about the technicalities and things, so I don't know if I would be a very well informed person to do such a video. I could probably do one about which ones I like and which ones I listen to the most. Yeah. Would you accept a milk delivery from Netcross? It would be explosive. Right. Is Casino Royale darker than License to Kill? That is a good question. I think in terms of subject matter, yes, it is. In terms of gratuity, no. I mean, like, License to Kill has, you know, Milton Crest's head exploding in a vacuum tank, whatever the hell that thing is. So I think License to Kill deliberately goes out of its way to shock you, and I think that's one of the things that it never quite connected with me because of it, because it did feel kind of like, oh look what we're gonna do, we're gonna show you blood and drugs and stuff, and it's like, oof. I mean, the last film we were lucky that Timothy Dalton wasn't seen in a magic carpet flying down, you know, the high street. So Matthew Harkin, you gotta run. Nice for sharing a few beverages on this cold Saturday evening. Take care, sir. And you too, Matthew. You too. I hope your Aldi lager was sufficient. Wallace and Gromit, James Bond, Quantum of Wallace. I quite like that. Do you prefer the Man with Live and Let Die to the Man with the Golden Gun? Yes, definitely prefer Live and Let Die to the Man with the Golden Gun. Is Mark O'Connell as charming as he writes? Yes, he is. I love Mark O'Connell. He's great. He's like, I think it was only this year that we met up for the first time, but we've seen each other quite a bit this year. And of course, I have his book, which is still one of my very favorite. Catching Bullets, Memoirs of a Bond Fan by Mark O'Connell. If I can give that a little plug, it's a fantastic bit of work. That absolutely loved it. But no, he's a good friend now. And I'm really pleased to say that. This year has actually been like, and I've got David from the Bond Experience actually to thank for a huge part of this sort of like organizing people and all this kind of stuff. But this year has really been the first year that I have sort of like met up with a lot of like, fellow Bond content producers, and I've been absolutely loving it. It's so nice to meet people with like that same shared interest and passion. And often, like when I do the James Bond and Friends podcast, everyone on that is like far more in the know and far more like, sort of they've got sources and things. They know a lot of news before it actually hits the news and that kind of stuff. And so I just feel quite privileged that I can like sit there and hear these people like talking about like, oh, what have you heard? Oh, yeah, interesting. What's the saddest moment of James Bond films? For me, at one point I would have said Tracy dying. Now I think it's Vesper dying. I think there is one shot in Casino Royale that really haunts me, and it's when she's like gone up and she's rubbed her face on his hand, and then she like flies back and her hair is like, and then she flies back and then she lets all of the air out, and there is just this shot of her that's so unglamorous and so unsexy, and it's when all the air's coming out of her and she's just like, and it's really just, and then she's like trying to say something to him, and it's just really horrific. I think how she plays it, she doesn't play it like a glamorous like death, just like closing her eyes and going peacefully. It's like, oh my god, that looks so painful and horrific. This is terrible. Oh my god. And that really gets me, like, because like I said, I've seen Casino Royale quite a few times this year with the Secret Cinema and everything. And every time that gets me. It's just how kind of unglamorous they make it, and good for them for doing that, because I think obviously drowning to death would be pretty grim. Actually, here it's one of the better ways to go. Spectre or The Last Jedi. Oh god, don't make me make a choice between those two, Zach. I'd probably have to go with Spectre. Hi, Calvin. In Dine of the Day, how did Bond and Jinx catch up to a plane at takeoff speed despite starting hundreds of meters away? That is a very good question, Constantine. And answers on a postcard, please. Makes no sense at all. And yet, it's not the most unplausible thing about Dine of the Day. Why do you love Octopussy? I just think it's fun. It's like I watched it about a month or so ago. I was ill and I was stuck at home, and I was just like, it's one of my comfort food Bonds. A bit like Tomorrow Never Dies is the same. It's just one that you can just like cozy up, watch, just chill, deactivate, and just immerse yourself in the world. I just think it's one of those. I can just completely lose myself in it. Have you changed your opinions on Quantum of Solace? My opinions on Quantum of Solace actually changed because of Spectre. I think Spectre makes Quantum of Solace look better. Have you got Letterboxd? It's like Facebook for movie fans. No, I don't, but I will have to check that out. I've heard of Letterboxd. People have been talking about it, so I might have to, see if I can get on some of that. Oh god, I just realized the time. It's like 10 to 9. This is, I'm going to be coming to the end of this soon. Because then when I'm finished with this, patrons, if those of you who are here, I'm gonna do sort of like a bit of an after party, if you will, over on my Patreon page, because I used to, when I first did a live stream, I did one for patrons first, and then the everyone one afterwards, and then I kind of like hit a point, because like after I turned off like the camera and I'd just been like talking for 2 hours. Just like, it felt quite strange to not be talking all of a sudden. So like the slower paced, one of a patron live stream would be, good. It's like a good come down. Basically, I think. Anyway, sorry, I'm not answering questions. Cal, have you seen the Star Wars despecialized editions? No, I haven't, but I've heard very good things. A friend of mine at work has talked about them and quite favorably. So I think I will need to check them out at some point. What is your personal favorite Bond moment? Oh God, that's impossible, Jamie. I can't possibly pick from. Oh God, there's so many. I really can't pick like an individual moment. Oh no, I can't do it. Sorry, I was just thinking. But Calvin, top 10 non-Bond film. Bond actor is the star, but it's not a Bond film. That's a good question. I quite like The Rock with Sean Connery, and Hot Fuzz is good with Timothy Dalton. Man Who Haunted Himself with Roger Moore. Will the giant squid from Doctor No, the book, ever appear in a film? I hope not. I thought that was so funny. In Doctor No, the book, there's like this bit where Bond has to fight a giant squid, and it's like, this is after like years of people telling like, oh, the Fleming books are so gritty and dark and all this kind of stuff, and then it's like, and Bond is fighting a giant squid. Right. Is Moonraker one of your chill out Bond films? Yeah, it is actually. Moonraker, Spy Who Loved Me, most of the Roger Moore ones you can just kind of like put on and chill with. Thoughts on Kitchen Nightmares? Is in the Gordon Ramsay show. I don't know if I've ever watched it. I think Peter Hunt's action editing / quick cutting in the first few films is groundbreaking and clearly influenced by the concurrent French New Wave, and still enjoyable to watch. Why don't you like it? Johnny Thunders, that is an excellent question. Funnily enough, Peter Hunt's editing and just that whole style doesn't bother me in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and I think obviously he directed that and obviously, you know, visualized it in his head while he was doing it. I think my problem is that I think he had to make up for the lack of what's the word to use? Detail? Thoroughness of Terrence Young in Doctor No, From Russia with Love and Thunderball. Like there are so many editing choices that are just like, you could have avoided this by just having extra camera coverage or having the actor walk in quicker, or you know, any of these number of things. And it feels like the editing is having to kind of apologize for that. Who would win in a fight between you and Dominic Green? I like to think I would win. Because he'd be too busy doing his, like, you know, when he's like fighting Craig in the film and he's like, his screams are really distracting. We're like, hiya! And all this. It's like, it's really, yeah. When are you going to, oh, Morton, hello. How do you do? When are you going to review the rest of the James Bond movies? I am ongoing with that. So I've got my script ready for The Man with the Golden Gun, and I'm going to be doing that one probably before Christmas. Yeah, they end up being quite long. I can't remember like how many thousands of words it was that I ended up writing for that, but it's like, God, my actual dissertation wasn't as long as the, you know, stuff I've put up about James Bond films. Most uncomfortable to watch sex scene in a Bond film. Oh my God. Xenia Onatop in GoldenEye. Like the amount of times I would be watching that with family and I would have to excuse myself from the room. My 10-year-old self would be like, I'm gonna go get a Robinson's orange drink. And it's just like so uncomfortable. Specifically, like, I don't find her uncomfortable. I find like the guy is acting with all of his like, ooh, and it's just like, oh God. Yeah, funny. How long do your videos take to make? Actually, that's a good question. It depends, actually. Like, the thing about these the Patreon reviews that I've been doing recently, like the Indiana Jones one that I put up today, like, I made that, well, the writing was like a while ago, because I always like write a script. And to be honest, this is one of the reasons why I often have a drink when I do these live streams, because it's me unscripted, and usually I like to kind of like have my thoughts like, you know, put out on a page in front of me. So the writing takes, but the Indiana Jones video I just made today, like, and then literally uploaded it as soon as I finished it. And yeah, whereas the actual reviews of the films take a lot longer. I don't have like a time specifically for them, and it varies depending on, like, you know, if there's a required, you know, editing tricks or something. Would you go on a sea cruise with Winston Kid? Yeah, I would actually. They have great taste in desserts and yeah. Is it wine or champagne? It's wine, isn't it, that Bond's drinking at the end of Diamonds? Can't quite remember. Thoughts on layer cake? I have not seen layer cake. Yeah, it's one that I really need to actually get to. Right, how would you rank Roger Moore's Bond villains? Ooh. Stromberg and Christatos would probably be towards the bottom, and then all the others I like quite a lot. Right. Would you like to do the No Time to Die theme, as in me sing it? Ethan, you have no idea how horrible that would be if I were to sing a Bond theme. Don't you think that Barbara Broccoli is the best name ever? I do. Cubby Broccoli as well, I think is quite a name. Are you drinking gin and tonic? No, I'm drinking a mojito, as Brosnan would pronounce it. Do you think the aged James Bond theme damaged Craig's subsequent films? I actually think that is M has made a really good point, because I was thinking about this just in relation to like how Bond is relating to the current generation of adolescents, I guess. Like, I feel like we all become Bond fans when we're like 9, 10, 11 years old, something like that. And I do think that having the Skyfall and Spectre have a certain dourness to them, and that's me speaking as a lover of Skyfall. God, I almost said as a lover of Spectre then. I'm heartburn. But yeah, I think Sam Mendes brought a certain pretentiousness and a certain dourness and all this, the themes of like, old dog, new tricks and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if that brings in the kids, because you're kind of calling out like, oh yeah, our hero's a bit over the hill, isn't he? But he can still do it, Yeah. Are you drinking Fuyuk? I would love to get a bottle of Fuyuk. Does Fuyuk even exist? I feel like I should know this. I feel like I've read about it in a Bond book somewhere. Does Fuyuk exist? Does anyone know? What is the darkest Roger Moore Bond film? Probably in terms of darkness, I think there's some pretty dark things in Live and Let Die. But tonally, serious-wise, For Your Eyes Only is, I think, the most serious. Thoughts on Hitler as Bond villain? That's amazing. Right. That's funny. What, a time-traveling Adolf Hitler pops up in a Bond film? That would be phenomenal. If I subscribe to you, will you make a video of you wearing Elvis from Quantum of Solace's wig? Constantine, if I could get my hands on that wig, I would happily oblige. What are your favorite spy/espionage shows? Oh, sorry, hitting my mic again. I watched Jack Ryan recently, and I quite liked that. I thought that was really great. Really great. It was good. It was fine. I don't actually watch that many espionage shows, funnily enough. This is the calmest live chat I've ever seen. Oh, thank you. I think is that referring to me, or is that referring to like the questions? How tall are you, Ned? I'm 6'1". I'm actually quite tall. People are often like quite surprised when they meet me in person, and they're like, "Oh, hello." Like, yeah, no, I'm quite tall. By the way, your stram on my birthday is quite a nice gift. Your stream stream, right? Oh, your birthday! Happy birthday, Clara Biner. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I forgot he was called Elvis. Lol. Anyway, drink to the birthday. Happy birthday. Right. Have you seen the Ghostbusters films? Have I? Yes, I have. I've seen the first 2, and then I saw like half of the one with all the women, and it was just like on in the background. There's yeah. You're 6'1". Fucking hell. Yeah, I know, Benjamin. I'm quite tall. Yeah. Would you go to a fancy dress party dressed as Chew-Me? That would be hilarious. But I would also have to carry around like, what would I have to carry around, like a paddling pool or something? Why don't you come in and find out? I hate her voice in that film. It's so blatantly dubbed. It's yeah. Would you like to see the scar down Bond's cheek from the books incorporated into the films at some point? You know what, actually, Bradley, it's funny that you bring that up, because I was thinking about that like earlier today, because I was thinking about the John Gardner books, and even the Christopher Wood novelizations. It's like they all mention the scar, and the scar makes me think of Fleming's Bond, and yet, yeah, I don't know if we'll ever see it in the film, unless one of the actors just naturally has the thing, because then every single day when the actor comes into work, they need to do the thing, and then that would be expensive and whatever. So I can see why they wouldn't do it. It's just an extra addition to the production. But yeah, anyway. Any more playthroughs? Quite possibly. I would like to do a playthrough of your From Russia with Love, because I haven't played that game in quite some time. Oh, Liam, 6'1". I'll drink to that. What year did you get into Bond? God, I think it was 97. No, it must have been 98, 99. I was like 9-10 years old, I think. I'm actually doing because I thought it would be nice to mark 20,000 subscribers in some way, should I ever get there. I've actually got like a video script planned, which is kind of just like describing my sort of like relationship with Bond and my relationship with YouTube, and just because I've never actually put down like a video of just like, hey, this is my life on YouTube and with Bond. So once I hit 20,000 subscribers, that will be what I upload as like, hey guys, this is yeah. I also think for 20,000 subscribers, I'd do like maybe like a giveaway or something. Because I've seen other people do giveaways on like Twitter and stuff, and I thought it would be, yeah, a nice thing to do. Least memorable Bond girl? I can't remember. No, sorry, it was a terrible joke. Strawberry Fields, I was not a big fan of. What do you think would have happened if Dalton had done 2 more films in 91 and 93? We probably wouldn't have gotten GoldenEye. That's the thing about the Bond series. It's like there's all these things of like, oh, well, what if Lazenby did another one, or what if Dalton did another one, and all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of like, well, that would be rewriting history. And, you know, if Dalton doing another one meant that we wouldn't get GoldenEye, then I'm not sure I would want that necessarily. What are you doing for your 10-year anniversary on YouTube? Well, that's a very good question. I've been teasing that I would dress in drag and sing Goldfinger for quite some time, but I don't know if anyone would like that, actually. Liam Neeson as a Bond sidekick. I like Liam Neeson. I think he's a good actor. Why don't you like Doctor Who? I'm when it comes to sci-fi, I like Star Wars, but that's science fantasy. When it comes to like actual science fiction and dealing with like concepts and stuff, it can be quite hit and miss for me. Yeah. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. I'm gonna answer a couple more questions, and then I'm gonna head over to Patreon for the Patreon live stream. So, have you ever seen any interviews with Kevin McClory? I don't know if I have. I've seen a lot of interviews because I read the book Battle for Bond, which was really great, and I would highly recommend seeking that book out if you can. It's just really interesting about the whole like Thunderball Spectre Kevin McClory thing. Really interesting. But I don't know if I've ever actually seen him like interviewed, like, you know, in person, which is interesting. Kevin McClory was a dick. Well, I'm not gonna, argue with that. Have you had your supper yet? I ate just before I came on, so that's probably another reason why these aren't really going to my head that much. What is your favorite murder mystery series? Ooh, you know, I don't know if I really watch any. Oh, Son Goku is 5'9.5". You're talking about height, aren't you? You're not actually 5 years old. Oh, good night, X24 Rider. And I hope you have a good weekend too. Calvin singing in drag, that's going to be well funny. I don't know, horrific maybe. But can a bald man ever be Bond? That's interesting. I don't see why not. Are you worried for Indiana Jones 5? I'm maybe after Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but then I think everyone is very much aware of how unpleasant that film was. So I would like to think they, would, try to do one better. But yeah. Did you buy Bond perfume at one point? I have not actually bought any of the 007 fragrances. But maybe that'd be a good video actually, because I don't wear aftershave. I wear I was saying I wear deodorant, but I'm like, well, yeah, everyone does. But yeah, I very seldom put on any kind of like scent. Oh, good night, futurist. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna call it a day there, folks. But thank you so much. I'm gonna patrons head over to Patreon page now because I'm gonna keep on chatting there for a little bit longer. Half an hour, I think, something like that, just as like a bit of a come down and finish off my mojito. But thanks everyone. It's been a really another lovely evening. Thank you for keeping me company on this cold November evening, and see you again soon. And take care. I look forward to doing another one of these in the near future. So yes. So long, Matt, Daniel. See you guys. Bye. Get in touch with David Z to wear a bow tie. Yes. Watch out for the Bond experience. I'm gonna head over to David's and he's gonna teach me how to tie a bow tie, and we're gonna make a damn video out of it. That's for sure. Right. Bye, Matt. Bye. Oh, Foza, I'm sorry. I'm finishing. But yeah. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. So long.